This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy! Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Catbus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guest and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Hello there. Welcome to another episode of I Dig Crazy Flicks with Catbus Russ. I'm your host, Catbus Russ. This is not a 90 for Chill episode because the movie we're going to discuss is a little too long for that. It is Rian Johnson's Brick from 2004, so essentially we're celebrating its 20th anniversary despite it being the 21st, but I digress. This was a panel from ATL Comic Convention back in July, which was proposed by co-creator of Blood Oranges comic, Tim Avers. We do discuss the comic a little bit, because it really plays into the dialogue that Brick offers. Rian Johnson's debut feature, and it loves to play towards film noir despite it's set in high school. I think it was a lot of fun, great movie, and I think our conversation ended up being pretty good. Can't say we had a large crowd until people came in for the next panel, waiting on that. But once they came, they seemed invested. So thanks, Tim, for having me on that panel or accepting that I was going to be on that panel. I thought we had a great rapport. And with that, I will be at GalaxyCon in Des Moines, Iowa, the weekend of September 12th through the 14th, where I will be, first off, doing on Friday, bringing back the 1985 triple threat match, Stallone versus Schwarzenegger versus the Cannon Group. That's a 7 p.m. panel on Friday. And on Saturday, we'll do 90 for Chill, the podcast, with Jess McCord from Skies of Fortune, a tabletop game. But more importantly, at least in terms of this podcast and panels, he is hosting a panel at 8 p.m. on Saturday about A24 Elevated Horror. So I've been doing a binge on that, and you'll get a bunch of movie reviews thrown in there. Upcoming episodes of 90 for Chill. I did Crazy Flicks, because when you talk about elevated horror, there's a degree of pretension, so you kind of give them a few extra minutes. So I hope I don't offend Jess with that comment. That's what the future holds for I Dig Crazy Flicks. Again, Des Moines, Iowa, GalaxyCon, September 12th through the 14th. So let me go and get through the final formalities. Let me thank my Patreon subscribers. That's patreon.com/IDigCrazyFlicks, where you get a shout out on every episode as long as you're a subscriber. You get a free waterproof sticker, and you get access to the original 90forchill.com, the podcast feed from Podbean. So let me thank Tim Bates. He's been on a couple of these episodes. One for Night of the Demons from 1988, a horror comedy, and the Bloodsport and Space movie Arena from 1989. I also like to thank the Scoop Staley. He was a former AAW backstage personality, and he also got to say his piece on the old Wrestling Compadre Slamcast back in the day. You get these little benefits for just $3 a month. If you're not going to do it for the podcast, I show plenty of pictures of Ava the Queen Kitty on my feeds. How can you not give her 3 tins of cat food a month? But I digress. You can also support the podcast, of course, by rating and subscribing on your favorite podcast apps. 5-star reviews preferably, but be as honest as you'd like in the comments. I promise I will learn from the criticism, and I greatly appreciate that. The best way to help I Did Crazy Flicks is to come on this show. Just offer me a movie, a theme, a director, an actor. As long as the movie can go a little bit off the walls, I'll be happy to talk about it. But if you have something a little more down to earth, we'll play by 90 for chill rules. Just keep it between 70 and 100 minutes, and I won't fault you for saying, well, the movie ended before the credits. And screw post-credit sequences. Follow me on social media at CatBusRuss. I'm on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. Primarily, though, on Blue Sky. I have so many thoughts on Meta. And my final formality is to just thank my best friend, Station Marie Harden, for keeping an eye on me, keeping me out of the bad kind of trouble, kind of pushed me towards the good kind. And in return, I hope, well, aside from I hope she's doing that for everybody else she touched in her life, I hope she's squeezing the ectoplasm out of Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel, the fluffiest and most jellicle of cats. So thanks for checking out I Did Crazy Flicks, and on to the show.
Brendan?
Emily?
I really screwed up.
Screwed up how?
The brick.
What?
I didn't know it was bad, but the pin's on it now. You gotta help me.
Slow down now. This isn't good. No. Emily said words I didn't know. Tell me if they catch.
Brick? No.
Tug?
Tug might be a drink, like milk and vodka.
Pin?
You know the kingpin.
Dope runner, right?
Big time. What are you gonna do?
She asked for my help. I just want to know she's okay.
So what's first?
I'm gonna start shaking things up.
So you didn't know this boy?
No, sir, never seen him.
And he just hit you?
He asked for my lunch money first. Good thing I brown bagged it. You're coming into a certain situation. It's twisted. I'm looking for Emily.
You left her.
Yeah, I did.
You better be sure you want to know what you want to know.
Complicated. Everyone's got their thing.
When the upper crust does shady deeds, they've got symbols so they can tell each other that word getting around.
Coffee and pie.
Coffee and pie? Oh, my.
Keep up with me now.
You got a cigarette?
I don't smoke.
I've seen you smoke.
I don't smoke cigarettes.
I thought we had orange juice. I'm sorry.
Water's fine, ma'am. Thanks.
Oh, wait a minute. We have apple juice. It's country style.
If I get to the bottom, whatever this is,
What do you want?
just to see you sweat.
When it gets too hot. You got a discipline issue with me? Write me up or suspend me.
I see that you're trying to help her. And I don't know anybody who would do that for me.
You are dangerous. I set out to know who put her on the spot. And put her in front of the gun. There's not much chance of coming out clean.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll. Bring the noise.
All right, ATL Comic Convention. This is a panel about Brick from 2005. Sorry, I should go with the four moral knives in my eyes. 20 years of Brick, which is, I mean, time flies. I'm a Gen Xer myself, and but this was a pretty crucial move. And well, it really gave me a better understanding, I'd say, of so many things, and that's including the Last Jedi, which I've been wandering around sequels panels. So I am Cat Bus Russ. I'm the host of I Did Crazy Flicks presents 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. Long-winded name. It's a brand change. But I like to talk about movies that just seem off the wall, pretty much. I prefer movies between 70 and 100 minutes, but, you know, give me just something crazy and I gotta sit and watch. So, and if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Tim Avers, and I'm the writer of Blood Orange at newdaynoir.com, which is a different kind of a spin on a noir. It's a comic book that is about piracy and or counterfeiting in the fashion industry.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say you get. I mean, noir. Watching Brick again. And this is probably only about the third time, and it's a film that rewards rewatches every time. And just the imagery. I mean, this is. I can't remember how Rian Johnson described it. Like, he always says, "This is my type of genre film." He never seems to want to return to it, except with the Knives Out series. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this is his noir movie. The next one was Brothers Bloom, which was I can't remember. It's more just a kind of a farce in many elements, 1930s style. So quite the student of the game. And then, gosh, that's my old wrestling nickname. But when I said that, so yeah, Brick is a story about Brendan, who's approached by his ex-girlfriend to try getting her out of a jam with, we eventually figure out, drug dealers. And we've basically placed an entire mafia-style film in a high school.
Absolutely. And Johnson was inspired by readings of Dashiell Hammett, the very famous novelist who did crime and sort of originated the noir genre. To take it to a particular place, and the place he ended up taking it to was his own high school, from which he had not long before that graduated himself. And I believe he was either still in film school or he had just recently graduated from film school.
Well, it makes sense being definitely a very California story. Man, I've just got to get the iPad to get my notes. So, but really nice because we're not. I mean, I can try to shout in the microphone louder to get people in, but it's just nice having a chance to just chat. Honestly,
yeah, absolutely,
and
very cool.
Yeah, don't have to worry about little interrupters like myself. I had a feeling with the last Jedi panel, like we're gonna try to draw away from him questions wise.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this as I say, Johnson's very much a student of cinema, and it goes all the way back to the 40s, especially some of the shots in this feature, and like most people's first film, it's like, well, I liked what this is, I'm gonna try it. So, but I see I get a feeling like this is, what if we took the whimsy away from Wes Anderson? Because we have a story about kids acting like adults, which is basically what Rushmore is.
Right.
The dialogue. Now, Anderson is a comedian, a comic film writer, auteur. There we go. While Johnson wants to have his hands in everything. Essentially, he wants to, like, as I say, he doesn't do the same movie twice, except if we would have got the Last Jedi, his Star Wars trilogy, which isn't going to happen, as far as I know.
Who knows? It could happen. It could get greenlit.
Yeah.
Anything could happen in this business.
Just go see the Mandalorian Grogu and get that money and give us what we want.
Exactly.
But Rian Johnson, basically, I would say, and we were just chatting about 16 Candles before this, just to shoot the chat. He doesn't. This is a movie, I think, like, it's a pity it got an R rating.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's got some intensity. You don't want kids talking about or trying to figure out, how can I create a drug trade?
How can I cut heroin so that I can get more out of my brick?
Right. sleeping all. Sorry, personal experience. Not cutting it. I'm just a little inside baseball stuff.
Well, there are other things that definitely lead Brick to receive an R rating.
Yes,
there are intense scenes of violence.
Nothing really. I mean, it's realistic, I think, is what it is.
Right.
Just how the fights go.
Yeah,
kicking
exactly.
people in their shins.
Right. Twice in a row. Yeah,
right.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And which is funny because I've had Last Jedi. Can we really buy into this samurai action? And like, nobody's going to swing right for your blade. And it's like, okay, you've never swung a sword, but it's choreography, and this just goes and shoves it right in your face. Tug is legitimately scary. So we have brings us to our players, I suppose. But instead of basically, though, I think that with this movie should be seen by high schoolers, like The Breakfast Club.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just what you're going to deal with this stuff at some point. May as well get it, just put it right in your face. It's like when we have to sign at least back when I was high school, like, we're going to show Schindler's List. Can you go and get a waiver signed?
Right, yeah.
And it's like, I had the benefit of being a year older than everybody, so
yeah,
I'm the adult here.
Well, I remember the first film that I saw, and this is going to sound probably pretty bizarre, but the first film that I saw that I thought, when my kids are the right age, I want them to see this, was Kids. And I don't know if you're familiar with this film or not. I'm gonna have to look up, use the old IMDb right now to look up the name of the director even though he Harmony Korine. He was associated with Hillsborough High School in Nashville. I did not go to Hillsborough, but I went to an adjacent high school, and so he was. I don't think that he went there, but he was associated with it. And the first time that I saw that film, I saw it in an independent theater, and I didn't have kids, and I wouldn't have kids for another 10 or 15 years. But seeing that movie, and it's a profoundly sad movie. It's a very realistic movie in a lot of ways about the pitfalls that young people can run into. And I have two kids, and when I raised my kids, I raised them with very age appropriate media. So when we got to Brick, my kids were already in their late teens, and I don't think I actually ended up ever showing them Kids because it's so brutal. But these two films have brutality on very different levels. In one sense, you have the psychosexual brutality of coming to terms with STIs, and then in the other, you've got this dramatized version of this sort of high school bullying, with in reality a lot more sense via narrative. Pushed into that brutalism that we experience in high school and in adult life as well in different ways. In high school, as a fellow Gen Xer, we might be expected to witness brutalism peer to peer. Whereas today we find it more suggested through social media or these other types of attacks that are no less violent.
Brutal. I mean, I graduated in '99, so just before I mark everything with Star Wars, I suppose.
Sure,
just before
absolutely.
The Phantom Menace, we had Columbine.
Yeah,
and then I told my mom, "Can we leave a day later for my our London trip?
Wow.
So I can watch Phantom Menace." And she agreed. But it's and I'm very, I'm from a very liberal state. I'm very much like, we just gotta take the guns away because that's what happens now. Is like we don't and that's a weird. Parenting in a sense. Like we grew up in a generation where, if you watch, say Friday,
right?
We have John Witherspoon telling Ice Cube, "No, this is how you solve things.
Right, put up your mitts.
Yes,
put up your mitts.
Right, and nowadays kids get bullied, and there's more guns in this country than there are citizens.
Right,
So
absolutely.
it's easy to grab one and easy to do something stupid, especially when you're a teenager and your brain's not developed till 25, which explains a lot for me. I've probably got a score of concussions before that age. So that's at least my reason for being single and childless. But
Well, I don't think of Brick as a fantasy film.
Oh, no.
But from the standpoint of de-escalating from the reality of Columbine, the conflicts and resolution and everything that you're dealing with in Brick is an abstraction. It's a significant abstraction, and it's an abstraction of the noir genre. By way of placing it into high school, and you would get accused of television, film, comic books would get accused of putting these ridiculous pieces of dialogue in the mouths of kids that kids would never say, or alternately, kids would be very short-shifted in terms of the type of dialogue that they would receive. Young characters would be given the most banal and inane dialogue. And with Brick, you elevate the communication, even though the slang of, say, a noir film or of the 20s or 30s is not much different than the Gen Alpha slang.
Yes.
They're just both uses of commonized, generalized terminology. The terminology today just happens to come from, TikTok instead of coming from lingo that was passed along between kids in soda shops, if that ever happened.
Right.
If that ever happened.
But that's another reason I think kids should see it, just because, hey, at least it's your own little bloody thesaurus in a sense.
Right.
I wish, and I really related to the character of Brendan just because of, I'm too clever for this.
Right.
I was, flirting with a girl and saying, just watch Brick. This was after we were having an argument about no Brit can do a good American accent, and no American can do a good British accent. And it eventually got into the fact that she's saying, well, Scottish and British, and it's like, no, same thing. Don't, and probably turned her off by a linguistics argument.
Sure, absolutely. But, they love that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I another thing I have to say about Brick is just in terms of the way that the sound editing was done, and really on a number of levels it's remarkable. First, in just being able to capture that dialogue, because sometimes dialogue is just being delivered almost at a whisper or even beneath a whisper, and then of course you have your moment where the moment of revelation where you do just get that whisper and you don't hear it. But the sound design on this film, and I've heard it compared to Lynch's sound design, or these different ways where you're able to incorporate very naturalized sounds into music, but also into sound effects and everything. Moments that you get, like the thug running into the post that holds up the awning at the high school, or just a gunshot, an isolated gunshot. There are just a lot of things in terms of sound design for this film that really punctuate and enunciate the storytelling.
That's and the sound. Basically, the sound design is so important to this film because, again, first feature, may not have been out of film school. And you really only get one visual effect, and that's when Dode is shot. And you do get to see, that's one of the most brilliant executions I can say I've seen on film. Just the sound of the gunshot, you get the smoke coming out of the back of the head, and it's all done in silhouette on top of that. Yeah. Which brings back to a lot of the scenes with the pin.
Yes.
The pin is the pin wants to be these 1940s mafiosos, and I love him for it. Mm-hmm. But that brings me back to the South Park episode with the Tooth Fairy Tats 2000 was the episode where Richard Belzer plays the kid.
Oh my gosh!
Controlling the Tooth Fairy trade.
Now, I'll say this: Johnson does some incredible things with quick cuts.
Oh,
Talking about the Dode scene with the shot, there's also the scene where Joseph Gordon-Levitt slaps the cigarette out of Dode's mouth.
Yeah.
And I, on a recent viewing, I actually blinked at the second that happened and missed it. And I love that quick cut so much that I actually just rewound it. I just or tracked back. What do we say these days? You can't rewind a DVD.
Yeah, I actually did that last night. I was watching this. Makes me feel like a real podcaster since listening to how did this get made, and there. Yeah, right. I was watching this on my iPad at half speed, 1.5 speed.
Right.
Yeah, I'm watching it in my my hotel bedroom on this iPad.
Yeah.
And hitting that back.
Talking about things that he does in very short scenes or in sparse shots, the character of Emily, the lost girl in the story. There's this costuming that takes place, or that is present in a flashback on the football field, where Brendan and Emily have sort of their climactic moment, where it all
the breakup,
where the breakup happens, and costuming and hair design on that particular sequence. For Emily de Raven, I guess is the young lady's name. It just dramatically casts how different the Emily character is outside in all the other shots outside that scene. So there's a real attention to detail in the way that everything is executed in this film to forward the narrative and to give us an emotional through line.
Yes, Emily. That's the last scene where, basically she's a walking corpse for 2/3 of 80% of the movie. You get that one scene, and the other, say 5%, she's a literal corpse. Sorry for that spoiler. But the entire thing is that this is basically Brendan's entire motivation is, he's a very cynical person, which I totally got to in high school. I was bullied, and I was fortunate enough to keep with my martial arts discipline and religion at that time. And it's like, no, just you don't need to be violent just to be violent. And then fortunately, I had a gym coach who one time just saw me getting pushed around, and he just said, "Go do your thing." Actually, geez, now I'm thinking Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. Do your thing, cuz. And I, beat the bully up, or at least as much as you can in an upper middle class town.
Right.
Like you get the takedown, you get the W.
Yeah.
I did have to run it back though with him, but after that though, I was withdrawn. I hated high school. I was there to solely be on the wrestling team, and appreciating more. At that time it was anime, but I'm always Star Wars or fantasy, Highlander, and so I was very much like withdrawn, just basically the king of the nerds that they bring out if a nerd needs some help. My life after high school, going for being so reserved, and then with my pro wrestling career, getting out there and then finally meeting people, being social, partying and what have you, then I kind of went and repeated the process because, people are very much like only in it for what they want. And dare I say I was probably in that position, but I wasn't stabbing people in the back or anything like that. But if I could manipulate things like Brendan does to Jer, basically to say how dangerous he is constant, and that's another great tell, not show element of this story, is that we know he can go and put somebody away, and it's great that Richard Roundtree Shaft is his foil.
Yeah, he's
to
perfect.
That. Yes,
he's perfect in that role, and it's such a fun sort of a role reversal for Roundtree. I wanted to touch on something about Emily. again, because when we get the very first, the opening shots of this film are Brendan going into the culvert and finding Emily's body, and in that sense, we're not spoiling anything. I mean, it's on the cover of the DVDs,
the arm and the
Blu-ray
bracelet,
and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you kind of know she's not going to jump up and grab a hamburger or something. But she is, as you say, kind of like a walking corpse. She's a character that is alive, half dead, however you want to look at it, in Brendan's memory. And I think that scene, that initial scene, is also reminiscent of, it's Laura Palmer, she's dead, wrapped in plastic. You even sort of have some of the same color tonal qualities there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we want to get into giving away sort of the ending, sort of the end of the plot. But there are so many good performances in this film.
And it seems like Rian Johnson's the only person who makes sure these people get work. I mean, good work, I should say.
Yeah,
they're always working actors, but
yeah.
you're not gonna get. Only Joseph Gordon-Levitt has a resume you can really pull up.
Right. I would love to see more Noah Segan. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, who plays Dode.
Yeah.
The current love interest of Emily throughout the sequence of the film. He just plays this character so well. He plays sort of a beatnik style type character. He's called a hophead. They're smoking marijuana. So there are a lot of just great scenes with him across the board.
Yeah, Nora Zettener, sorry if I butchered that, as Laura, the femme fatale.
Yeah.
Was brilliant. And I really only can recall her being briefly in The Brothers Bloom, which honestly was briefly for Joseph Gordon-Levitt as well. He just walks through the scene, yep, this is a Rian Johnson movie, and then and Lucas Haas. I mean, he was on as Pin. He was on his way. Like he was the hero of Mars Attacks 7 years prior.
Yeah. Well, he's an absolute powerhouse in anything that he's in, from my estimation. And if this was his only role, I think he would have already made his contribution to Hollywood. Just such an excellent actor. And some of the things about the character of the Pin, the conversation that they have about the golden sunset sitting on the beach, and this callback to Tolkien, pulls you into this idea of, well, we've been doing all this, we've been using all this 20s or 30s drug lingo, saying somebody's the number one purchaser of Jake, in the school, and then jumping over and saying, having a conversation about how Tolkien really describes those sunsets. You want to be there. And these are just, those are great lines. There's so many great lines, but Haas delivering them makes them funny. Also, costuming choices for Haas.
Yes.
The decision to give him, the one big shoe. The implication being that he's got one leg longer than the other,
or a club foot,
or something to that effect. Yeah. The little decisions like that, the Astro van or whatever it is with the house lamp inside of it.
Yes. Oh, the lamps are just
and Tug when he replaces the chicken shaped
milk dispenser.
Yeah, milk jug on the
carafe.
counter.
I think
there's just a ton of stuff like that where these just again, it's these little quick cuts, and Matt O'Leary as the brain.
Yes.
He's such a small role, but he almost acts as our exposition. He's explaining things. Is he the brain to the brawn that we see from Brendan, and also the way that Johnson handles. In a lot of times you would have a film where you've got a descent into madness. But Brendan, as a result of the injuries that he's sustaining throughout the course of the narrative, he's not descending into madness, he's descending into illness. Right.
Brain serves as... I'm going back to my Freud. the ego, I suppose, or the id's what you want.
Yeah.
Ego, I think, is the reason. Superego's the out of control element. And for the most part, he doesn't do anything that's not wanted.
Yeah.
By, and anything that he does that's not according to Brendan's plan.
Yeah.
He can justify and, okay, yeah, I have to accept that and move on, is Brendan's attitude.
Yeah.
And it's the descent into illness. That's a pretty common, I think, old school noir thing.
Yeah.
And I think anybody, honestly, can relate to getting sick. Now, getting, be it concussions, like I was thinking, oh, yeah, he's just... I've had a score or so myself, but swallowing your own blood, which is fun in Fight Club, and it's it just very like. There's a lot of people who probably, and I see this in a lot of movies. Like I recently was reposting about a podcast I did about Jon Favreau's Made, which is a movie I could not finish. Like after how Vince Vaughn's treating the airline stewardess, and like, no, I can't stand this guy. And I know a lot of people, and that again might explain a lot about myself. Like probably could not stand Brendan, which again is half the reason why he's on his own. Is like, well, nobody can relate to him, and he's not necessarily, he's wiser than them, not necessarily smarter, and you don't want to be felt like an idiot, which is what Tug is struggling with the entire movie, which makes him the grand antagonist. Well, now I'm not going to spoil it. Just a brilliant whisper at the end. But Tug is, if it wasn't for Tug feeling so insecure about not being as smart as the pin, and then eventually, well, maybe it's Brendan who can lead me to success.
Yeah.
It's and when you look at all your old classic gumshoe stories,
right?
Like, no, you just don't want to deal with this person.
Yep.
And half the time it is just because they can outmaneuver you. It's chess in a sense.
Yeah. And Brendan is really playing chess with all of these characters. He's playing chess against the Pin. He's playing chess against Kara.
Yes, that's which we haven't really addressed.
Yeah, and we haven't. So you have Kara, who is this deep manipulator in the film. She's the drama kid,
the drama queen,
the theater kid, and the drama queen, absolutely. And you have her in these various costumes. You have like a Mikado type design costume for her, and she's really the person who's the surface level manipulator. Who you never get the impression that she's necessarily getting anything over on people, with the exception of the fact that she always seems to have a lapdog freshman who is there doing her bidding,
right.
And those people pop up almost out of her lap,
to
do her bidding at various points.
If anything, makes you think of Cronenberg's The Brood.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, of course, Brendan found himself in this position earlier, pre-narrative, before the actions of the film take place, and he's had to come up sort of hard scrabble with the assistance of the brain, because it's obvious that the brain has gotten him out of trouble before, but then at a certain point he takes over, his destiny. And another character that we don't see in this film is poor Frisco.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier the guy that was Jess was the boyfriend that Brendan gives to the bulls.
Jer,
that's right. So I don't think we see either one of those characters, either Jer
or Frisco,
Frisco.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's very important, I think, about the way that Johnson determines to execute these plots. A conventional and contemporary script, in most cases, you're going to see everything.
Well, I see a lot of this it would have been a great play.
Right.
Because again, Harold Pinter, it's all implied what's going on outside of our two characters, usually in a Pinter play like The Dumb Waiter.
I think that the use there is very interesting. There are a lot of things that are, very theatrical about Brick, and there are scenes that feel like they could have just as easily been set on a stage. And you brought up Wes Anderson earlier. Wes Anderson's staging and positioning of characters on the screen, distance between each other, relative size, all of these sorts of things, and then camera positioning in an overlap, for example, between two characters, where you need to conceal something a character is going to do, or you want to maybe visually encode to your audience that you want them to shift focus off of one character so that you can execute a surprise. These are all very interesting choices and ways of doing things where Johnson is using his limited budget in all the film tricks that he can, all the movie making tricks that he can pull, to use this limited budget to make the best film that he can.
And going back to Wes Anderson, I look back at his first film, which was Bottle Rocket, which he adapted from a short film on top of that. But that film is basically all narrative. Everything is going. It's not really it shows Wes Anderson's brilliance as a writer, but he's just trying to make sure he can get this movie made and then get the buzz around it. He doesn't really prove his direction until Rushmore,
right.
And so I guess Johnson came out with the fully formed student.
Yeah.
So,
well, this was a thing this is a thing that just interests me altogether regarding filmmaking is, how much a script or how much an edit is influenced by everything else going on in the real world. Because of course your characters are not your characters in a film. Your characters are actors, and they have careers, and they have mortgage payments to make, and they have goals and ambitions that they want to achieve outside of the film, and these constraints, and we can go back to the previous panels we've been in, the Star Wars panels. The thing that to me is extremely interesting, or one of the things that's extremely interesting to me is how the landscape of movie making and the real world, what's going on in the real world, shapes these films. I remember hearing an anecdote about a disposable razor being used for paneling on one of the original starships in the original Star Wars.
I can recall finally the communicator from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
was
literally a razor.
Yes,
like a lady's styled razor.
Right, a Venus.
So there, that was obviously a deliberate choice. They could have had anything manufactured that they wanted to at that point, but I think that was definitely a callback to a Star Destroyer or something that had, the shaft of a disposable razor on the side of it spray painted, mounted and spray painted. There are lots of things that make about filmmaking that make it into great films.
Yes.
I think probably the budget constraints on Brick were part of what made it great, because there was a fix it and pre mindset to doing as much as you possibly could with camera angles, with shooting location.
Yeah.
I think even the Penn's house, which is probably the most confined set in the movie, was an actual house that was scheduled for demolition. And then I think that the mansion for the party scene toward the beginning of the film was an actual home that was undergoing restoration or rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
So using these practical sets, it's a part of the constraint of filmmaking, but it also ends up adding authenticity to whatever you're shooting.
Most definitely. I mean, going back to that conversation, linguistics wise, and like, no, this was a perfect accent, and it's like, no, I know the tricks. That's what I'm looking for. Like,
right.
I want if I see something grand about it, how I love it so much more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have actors who might come from another country and might not even they might have to memorize their lines phonetically,
right?
If they don't know. Yeah.
I mean, it was Michelle Yeoh, I think it was on Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She spoke Cantonese, and that movie shot in Mandarin, and people are complaining about that.
Yeah. So there again, that's a constraint there, but that's also a potentially liberating element when you start to think about the fact that human emotion is universal.
Mm-hmm.
You do have some very isolated areas where you have societies, sometimes I guess primitive societies would be considered primitive, that have dramatically different approaches. I'll use an example from Blood Orange. I did some research and reading for it because the protagonist, or the antagonist, excuse me, are part of the quote-unquote Russian mafia. Okay. Well, there's no such thing as the Russian mafia. It doesn't exist. It's actually roughly translated thieves in law. And their perspective, the ethos of those characters is utterly and completely different from the perspective of the La Cosa Nostra, the Sicilian mafia, or these Italian mafias or criminal organizations.
The protection racket versus like, hey, we're just here to make money.
Right.
We could care less, which gives them a more brutal reputation.
Yeah, in these films that are made about these criminal organizations, the primary concern seems to revolve around, well, will we or will we not sell drugs? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? With Russian organized crime, doesn't view itself as crime per se. It views itself as a form of ethical action against tyranny. And it's very dark because at my reading,
you had to operate under an authoritative government.
That's exactly right. And so the way that they see themselves is not so much as criminals. They see themselves as, like I said before, thieves in law, meaning
liberators.
They're thieves under the law, but it's because of the law that they must be thieves, and the law is not something that's seen as being just. So the perspective of a culture can be radically different one place to another. When we see the ethos of the Pen, for example, the Pen has a very distinct set of what the Pen believes is good, and for the majority of the film, the sequence of events and the action seems to be driven by the Pen's objectives and how Brendan works around the Pen's objectives. When in reality, there is a subplot that's running beneath the surface. There's a context that's almost subliminal within the film of the relationship between Emily and Brendan. And it's approached from Brendan's understanding and his perception, but it's even deeper because there's actually a situation that that's going on that Brendan doesn't necessarily even know about.
Brendan is just out to break the system. It's vengeance in a sense. I mean, of course, he should theoretically be protecting more people if he succeeds in this, but he doesn't care about people. So it is solely a vengeful mission of his. Yeah, that's. I don't have anything too much deeper than that, I suppose. It's just very, again, but it does show to how he's still a kid.
Right.
Because again, like, I may have been able to get by high school with just following my disciplines, but vengeance did come to mind, and if it wasn't for those disciplines, like, I was very disappointed when my older sister, I was going to be a freshman when she was going to be a senior, and she's neurodivergent, and school is hell for her, so I was looking forward to unleashing wrath on the seniors, and then it was, you know what, for her sake, we're just going to get her that extra credit correspondence and let her graduate. And I was like,
right.
But I wanted to bust heads.
Right.
But, you just have to. But I've, dealt with, again, my wrestling stories and drama. Like, I've been, it took me a while to realize, I was actually a sexual assault victim in the wrestling business. We just laughed it off as some stupid drunk stuff, which, do you really know if it happened? You were drunk and stoned. But then by the time I realized, it's like, okay, well, 2018 is a good time. I can start bringing this up. And it's like, yeah, it's been years. Do I want to destroy lives? And as, a mostly functioning adult at that point, no. And that's how I always talk to myself out of stuff. It's like, what's this going to get me more than... And that's the brilliance of the Brendan character is, like, he doesn't really, and Brain, again. He immediately, first thing he says, you tell me to walk away from this. Do you tell me to walk away from this?
Right.
Walk away from...
Yeah. Yeah. And he definitely, the Brain is a foil to him. The thing that's interesting, about it is the situations that Brendan finds himself in are they're exaggerated for dramatic effect, or for to make it an interesting narrative. But the things that Brendan is dealing with in the story, social conflict, hierarchy, this sort of stuff, it is exactly what a high schooler is experiencing. They're just experiencing it to a different degree or with a different flavor.
Right, you're dead on. We're all the heroes of our own story, and I can't deny that. I go back through my memories, and it's like, yeah, no, that's definitely a little overly dramatic on my behalf. Like, constantly trying to, walk the right path, like
Right.
somebody like Pulp Fiction, just like Po from Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So, all right. Ever seen the movie Brick Man?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking about that right now. It's from the direct.
I have a media studies degree, so tell me about it.
All right. It's a film noir about high schoolers, directed by Ryan Johnson, director of The Last Jedi, Looper, Knives Out.
I just started on Star Wars like a year ago.
Okay. Well, have you seen Knives Out?
Love Knives Out.
Okay, this is the same director.
Oh, then it's got to be amazing. I'll have to check it out.
All right. Yes.
And this is his first film.
Yes, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a high schooler trying to bring down a drug cartel made up of other high schoolers. Well, I mean, they say the pin is...
Sounds like an anime.
Yeah. Yep, I could definitely see a My Hero Academia, and I've... most of my anime is from the VHS tape era, so...
I was thinking more like School Rumble or that.
Right. Oh, as I say... well, about any animes about high schoolers trying to get out of stuff. Neon Genesis Evangelion is my favorite anime. And, yeah. It's,
I know they do remake after remake.
oh, the reinvention does pay off. It's a very, it just seems more tasking.
I got to see it when I was a appreciate when it first aired on Toonami.
Mm-hmm.
So that and Gundam Wing kind of.
Yes, no, I'm a big Gundam Wing. That was when actually I had bought the tape from my first convention I ever went to, 1998 Vision in Chicago, and this is back when you had tape bootleggers. You could buy I got the Sailor Moon Star series, which we never thought was going to be in the States, especially now, and with that orange twat, he's probably wants it not to have arrived.
Not fair. But what can you tell me about Brick? From
So-
a media standpoint, cinematically, what do you think is good about it?
All right, well,
Obviously, it's probably really well shot if that's the guy behind it.
it is. It plays up. So Ryan Johnson never does the same movie twice, unless it's a franchise. Knives Out, The Glass Onion, and he was going to have his own Star Wars trilogy until that didn't happen.
And he's doing Poker Face, which
on
I
NBC.
haven't started. She's one of my absolute. Natasha Lyonne is one of my absolute
Russian.
favorites.
I didn't finish Russian Doll, but that. But so, sorry, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's ex-girlfriend calls him out of the blue, 2 months removed, and they basically broke up because she was hanging out. She wanted to be a part of the social cliques, and he's very much, all you need is I. And she calls him because he's gotten himself in trouble with a brick, and she drops all the clues that it really rewards rewatches. She ends up dead, and now he's out to just try to figure out everybody and bust teeth that need to. And it uses a lot of jargon from the 1940s noir era. The cops are called the Bulls.
I have a question about the noir era.
Mm-hmm.
So in the noir era, you use a lot of hard versus soft light, a lot based on chiaroscuro lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say it uses a lot of hard lights for the black and whites, like in Frankenstein, or more soft lights, like in the original Casablanca?
I think it's kind of a blend.
That's not a trope that Johnson particularly uses in this. It's more the plot or written structure of a noir.
Oh, okay.
And again, he also juxtaposes this language lingo jargon from a Dashiell Hammett type novel, the Maltese Falcon or these other types of things, into this high school, situation, which gives it just sort of a very different affect. So it sort of deals with sort of some of the same teenage conflicts that we all experience, only it reframes them within this drug commerce context.
All right, so the movie is allegorical then.
Yes, it positions itself as literal, but it is definitely using an allegory. Yeah,
it's we've compared it to Wes Anderson in many elements. Just no whimsy in this one, and it treats kids as well. It's kids playing adults in a sense.
Yeah.
We discussed during this panel, and this will be a podcast. I did Crazy Flicks with Cat Bus Russ. Will get you there. There's a button. Oh, sorry.
That's okay, it's audio, no one saw.
There's the con where I was just throwing them left and right. So it's very, but this is a movie that if you have kids, I'd say like the Breakfast Club. Yes, it's going to have some harsh elements to it that isn't society said
parental guidance is suggested.
Right, society says.
From what I'm hearing, then it sounds like Kubrick meets Wes Anderson with this flick for Levitz.
Yeah.
I am mispronouncing the name left and right today.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. But yeah, it's a movie that if you have kids of high school age, they should. I would definitely let them watch it, despite the R rating. Same thing with like the Breakfast Club. Tim was doing a panel about 16 Candles, who would probably it's got a lot of it still has all these teenage elements to it.
So funny. funny story you might like about 16 Candles.
I've never actually seen the movie
No,
myself.
this is it. I had the opportunity to watch 16 Candles.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it was a time when like cable TV was big.
Yeah.
So at the same time, Uncle Buck came on.
Ah.
And I had to pick between 16 Candles and Uncle Buck. So I've never seen 16 Candles because I wanted to watch John Candy play Uncle Buck.
Yeah. That's totally understandable.
Yeah, no, that's that was probably when my mom got turned off from John Hughes was Uncle Buck because she did not expect, it's a John Candy. It goes some dark places.
Yeah,
and I would probably say darker than 16 Candles.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, those who just arrived, we're going to be clearing out in a moment. I'm Cat Bus Russ Stevens. I do a podcast. I did Crazy Flicks with Cat Bus Russ. I like to focus on movies between 70 and 100 minutes, but if it's off-the-wall stuff, I am more than happy to chat with you. You can find ididcrazyflicks.com. If you want to be a guest on the show, I'm always looking for it. Just give me a nutty movie. And this will be a podcast. I'll probably drop in a couple of weeks. I've got my own panel tomorrow at noon. 1985 triple threat match. Stallone versus Schwarzenegger versus the Cannon Group. So if you want to talk about the last
that should be
great year of action movies, come to that panel 3 p.m. I believe, it's on the schedule, but it's Sunday. So thank you very much,
Thanks
Tim.
a lot for having me, Russ.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Loved it.
Absolutely.
Well, did you suggest this panel or?
I actually did suggest.
Okay,
this
so
panel.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks for giving us the time and enjoy the rest of the con.
Can I hear a wahoo?
This podcast was made possible by the love and support of Dave and Cindy Stevens, Rory Stevens and Allison Higgins, Danny Daniels, and Stephanie Smith.
Long live Flash! You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.